Number 1. The Haunted Cabin in the Woods. It was a serene summer evening when a group of friends decided to rent a secluded cabin in the woods for a weekend getaway. As they drove deeper into the forest, the road narrowed and the trees grew thicker, casting ominous shadows in the dimming light. The cabin appeared quaint but ancient, with creaking floorboards and a sense of abandonment lingering in the air. On the first night, strange noises echoed from the woods, resembling whispers and faint cries. One of the friends, a skeptic, dismissed the sounds as mere wildlife, but the others couldn't shake the eerie feeling. The next day, they found claw marks on the cabin door, deep and jagged, as if made by something inhuman. The atmosphere grew heavy with tension as night fell again, and the whispers seemed to grow louder and more insistent. One friend woke up in the middle of the night to find a shadowy figure standing at the foot of their bed, only to vanish when the light was turned on. Desperate to leave, they discovered their car wouldn't start, as if something had tampered with the engine. The third night was the most terrifying. Footsteps circled the cabin, slow and deliberate, accompanied by guttural growls. In a panic, they barricaded the doors and windows, hoping to keep whatever was outside from getting in. The following morning, they found strange symbols carved into the wood around the cabin, symbols they later learned were ancient runes used in dark rituals. The sense of being watched became overwhelming, with shadows moving just out of sight and unexplained cold spots in the cabin. One of the friends began to act strangely, speaking in a language none of them understood and insisting they stay. They found an old journal in the attic detailing previous visitors' accounts of similar experiences, none of whom were ever found. With no other option, they decided to hike out of the forest, leaving their belongings behind. As they trekked through the dense woods, they felt an invisible presence following them, close enough to hear its breath. After hours of fear and exhaustion, they stumbled upon a ranger station and told their harrowing tale. The ranger listened intently, his face pale, and then showed them a map with numerous X marks, indicating where people had vanished over the years. They learned the cabin was built on cursed land, a site of ancient rituals and sacrifices. Despite their relief at escaping, the friends couldn't shake the feeling that they had brought something back with them. Weeks later, each of them experienced strange occurrences at home, objects moving on their own, whispering in the night, and shadowy figures in mirrors. One by one, they began to disappear, leaving behind only cryptic notes and terrified messages. The authorities were baffled, finding no trace of foul play but unable to ignore the pattern of disappearances. Rumors spread about the haunted cabin, drawing thrill seekers and paranormal investigators, many of whom also vanished. Locals began to avoid the area entirely, sharing whispered warnings about the cursed ground. The once popular summer retreat became a place of fear and mystery, with no one daring to spend the night. Now, the cabin sits abandoned, a dark silhouette against the trees, waiting for its next victims. Do you dare to visit the haunted cabin? What would you do if you heard those whispers in the night? Leave a comment below. Number 2. The Beachside Phantom. It was a perfect summer day when a group of teenagers decided to camp out on a deserted beach known for its eerie beauty. The sand was warm under their feet, and the waves crashed gently against the shore, creating a picturesque scene. As night fell, they built a bonfire, sharing stories and laughter under the starlit sky. One of them mentioned the local legend of the Beachside Phantom, a ghostly figure said to haunt the area. According to the tale, the phantom was the spirit of a young woman who drowned years ago, seeking revenge on anyone who dared to disturb her rest. Dismissing the story as a myth, the group continued their revelry, unaware of the shadowy figure watching them from the dunes. Around midnight, the wind picked up, and the bonfire flickered ominously, casting long shadows across the sand. One teenager wandered away from the group, drawn by a soft, mournful singing carried by the breeze. He found himself at the edge of the water, staring out at the dark, endless ocean, feeling an inexplicable pull. Suddenly he felt cold, clammy hands gripping his ankles, dragging him towards the water. He screamed, snapping the others out of their trance, and they rushed to pull him back, finding no one else there. Shaken but unharmed, he told them about the hands and the singing, which had now stopped. As they sat around the fire, they heard faint footsteps approaching, yet saw no one in the darkness. The fire suddenly extinguished, plunging them into complete darkness, and the air grew freezing cold. They huddled together, using flashlights to scan the beach, revealing nothing but empty sand. Out of nowhere, they heard the singing again, closer this time, a haunting melody that sent chills down their spines. One of the girls felt a hand brush her shoulder, and when she turned, she saw a pale, ghostly face inches from hers. She screamed, causing the others to turn their lights towards her, finding her alone but visibly shaken. They decided to leave, but their car wouldn't start, the engine making strange, sputtering noises. As they tried to figure out what to do, the singing grew louder, now all around them, as if the phantom was closing in. Panic set in, and they began to run down the beach, hoping to find help or at least escape the haunting presence. The singing turned into wails of agony, echoing in their ears and driving them nearly mad with fear. One by one, they tripped and fell, feeling icy hands clawing at them, trying to drag them towards the water. They finally reached a nearby beach house, banging on the door and begging for help. An old man let them in, and as he heard their story, his face turned grim. He told them of the phantom's curse and how she had claimed many lives over the years. The teenagers spent the night in the beach house, too terrified to sleep, listening to the phantom's wails outside. At dawn, the noises stopped, and they cautiously made their way back to their campsite. Their belongings were scattered, and the car started without issue, as if the phantom had let them go. They never returned to that beach, but the memory of that night haunted them forever. Would you dare to camp on a haunted beach? Could you survive the night with a vengeful spirit? Leave a comment below. Number 3. The Lake of Shadows. Nestled in a remote part of the countryside, a serene lake was a popular spot for summer picnics and swimming. A family decided to spend a weekend there, enjoying the tranquility and natural beauty of the area. On the first day, the children played in the water, their laughter echoing across the lake. As evening approached, they set up their tents and prepared for a night under the stars. An old man from a nearby village warned them about the lake's dark history, but they laughed it off as superstition. According to the legend, the lake was cursed by the spirits of drowned souls seeking revenge. That night, the moon cast an eerie glow over the water, and the air was thick with an unsettling silence. The family settled in for the night, unaware of the dark presence rising from the depths of the lake. In the dead of night, the mother woke to the sound of splashing, as if someone was swimming in the lake. She looked out and saw a dark figure standing on the water, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. She woke her husband, but when they looked again, the figure was gone, replaced by an eerie stillness. They tried to go back to sleep, but strange noises kept them awake: whispers, splashing, and the sound of footsteps circling their tents. The children were terrified, claiming to see ghostly faces in the water, their eyes wide with fear. The next morning, they found strange, wet footprints leading from the lake to their campsite. Determined to enjoy their vacation, they brushed off the incident and went about their day. However, as the sun set, the atmosphere grew heavy with dread, and the lake seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy. That night, the father woke to find himself surrounded by a thick, cold mist, making it hard to breathe. He heard voices calling his name, luring him towards the water, and felt an overwhelming urge to follow. As he approached the lake, he saw the same dark figure from the previous night, now standing closer and more defined. The figure beckoned him, and he felt a powerful force pulling him into the water. His wife woke just in time to pull him back, breaking the spell and saving his life. They decided to leave immediately, packing up their campsite in a hurry. As they drove away, they saw the dark figure standing on the shore, watching them with glowing eyes. Once home, they researched the lake's history and found numerous accounts of mysterious drownings and disappearances. The family was haunted by nightmares of the dark figure and the cold, clammy hands pulling them into the depths. Despite their escape, they felt a lingering presence, as if the lake's curse had followed them. They never spoke of the incident again, but the fear remained etched in their minds. Locals continued to avoid the lake, sharing stories of those who never returned. The once popular spot became shrouded in mystery and fear, with no one daring to visit after dark. The family warned others about the lake, but few believed them, drawn by the beauty and tranquility of the water. Would you dare to swim in a cursed lake? Could you resist the call of the drowned souls? Leave a comment below. Number 4. The abandoned amusement park. On the outskirts of a small town stood an old, abandoned amusement park, its rusting rides and decaying attractions a shadow of its former glory. A group of thrill-seekers decided to explore the park one summer night, hoping to experience the rumored hauntings firsthand. As they approached, the wind whistled through the broken Ferris wheel, creating an eerie melody. The entrance gate creaked open with a loud groan, as if inviting them in. The park was a maze of overgrown pathways, broken glass, and forgotten memories, its once vibrant colors faded and dull. They started with the old carousel, its painted horses now chipped and lifeless, their eyes seeming to follow the group. One of them swore they heard faint laughter and the distant sound of carnival music, though the others dismissed it as imagination. As they ventured deeper, they found the old funhouse, its mirrors cracked and dusty, reflecting distorted images of themselves. Suddenly, one of the mirrors shattered, and a shadowy figure darted past them, vanishing into the darkness. The group decided to split up to cover more ground, a decision they would soon regret. Those who went towards the roller coaster heard the sound of creaking tracks and saw ghostly figures riding the broken cars. The others, exploring the bumper cars, felt a sudden chill and saw the cars moving on their own, as if driven by invisible hands. Panic set in as they realized they were not alone, with shadows flitting just out of sight and whispers growing louder. One of the thrill-seekers felt a cold hand on their shoulder, only to turn and find no one there. They regrouped at the central plaza, where the old ticket booth stood, its windows shattered and covered in cobwebs. A sudden gust of wind blew through the park, bringing with it the smell of cotton candy and popcorn, though no vendors were around. The old haunted house loomed ahead, its facade cracked and peeling, daring them to enter. Inside, they found old props and mannequins, some of which seemed to move on their own, their eyes following the group's every move. One of the thrill-seekers got separated and found themselves in a room filled with antique dolls, their faces twisted into sinister smiles. The door slammed shut, and the dolls' eyes began to glow, their heads turning slowly to watch the trapped person. Desperate, they kicked the door open and rejoined the group, their face pale with terror. They decided to leave, but the way out seemed to shift and change, as if the park itself was trapping them. The sounds of carnival music grew louder, accompanied by ghostly laughter and the distant screams of long-lost patrons. As they ran towards the exit, the shadows seemed to close in, reaching out with cold, skeletal hands. They finally burst through the gate, the oppressive atmosphere lifting as soon as they were outside. Gasping for breath, they looked back to see the shadowy figures standing just inside the gate, watching them leave. Once home, they researched the park's history and discovered it had been closed after a series of tragic accidents and unexplained deaths. The thrill-seekers vowed never to return, haunted by the memories of that night. Locals told them they were lucky to escape, as many who entered the park never came back. The abandoned amusement park remained a place of fear and mystery, its dark secrets waiting for the next unwitting visitors. Would you dare to explore an abandoned amusement park? Could you escape the spirits that haunt its grounds? Leave a comment below. Number 5. The Summer Camp Nightmare. Nestled deep in the forest, an old summer camp had been abandoned for decades, its cabins and trails slowly reclaimed by nature. A group of urban explorers decided to spend a weekend there, eager to document their findings and uncover the camp's dark past. They arrived to find the camp eerily silent, the only sounds being the rustling of leaves and the distant calls of birds. The main cabin stood at the center, its windows boarded up and door hanging off its hinges. They set up their equipment and began to explore, starting with the mess hall, where old tables and chairs were covered in dust and cobwebs. One of them found an old camp counselor's diary, detailing strange occurrences and the gradual disappearance of campers. As night fell, they gathered around a campfire, sharing ghost stories and enjoying the cool summer night. The wind picked up, and they heard distant screams and the sound of children laughing, though they were alone. One of the explorers ventured into the woods to gather more firewood and didn't return. The others searched for him, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, finding only a trail of footprints leading deeper into the forest. They followed the trail to an old, crumbling cabin, where they found their friend in a trance, staring blankly at the wall. As they tried to wake him, the air grew cold, and they heard whispers all around them, voices pleading for help. They managed to snap him out of it and rushed back to their camp, deciding to leave first thing in the morning. However, their vehicle wouldn't start, and they realized they were stranded until help arrived. That night, the whispers grew louder, and shadows moved just outside their tents, accompanied by the sound of children playing. One of the explorers woke to find a ghostly child standing at the foot of their sleeping bag, staring with hollow eyes. The child vanished when the others woke, leaving behind a feeling of dread and unease. They found old photographs scattered around the campsite, showing smiling campers and counselors, but with strange, dark figures lurking in the background. Desperate to leave, they hiked to the nearest road, hoping to find someone who could help. As they walked, they felt an invisible presence following them, and the whispers continued, growing more desperate and frantic. They reached a ranger station and told their story, only to be met with a grave expression. The ranger explained the camp's dark history. Numerous campers had vanished over the years, and it was eventually shut down. Despite thorough searches, no bodies were ever found, and the camp gained a reputation as haunted. The explorers were driven back to town, but the haunting memories of that weekend stayed with them. They experienced strange occurrences at home, objects moving, cold spots, and ghostly apparitions in their dreams. The camp's dark history continued to haunt them, and they vowed never to return. The abandoned summer camp became a place of legend, drawing only the most daring or foolish. Locals warned visitors to stay away, sharing stories of those who ventured in and never came out. The once lively camp remained a ghostly shell, its dark past and restless spirits a chilling reminder of the horrors that once occurred there. Would you dare to spend a night in an abandoned summer camp? Could you face the spirits of the lost campers? Leave a comment below. These true stories serve as a chilling reminder that even the most idyllic summer settings can hide dark and terrifying secrets. Are you brave enough to explore these haunted locations? What would you do if faced with such horrors? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. And that's it from this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more scary stories like these one. See you in the next one.